Pope Stephen VI. Stephen is best remembered for one of the strangest events in papal history, the Cadaver Synod of 897, in which he ordered the corpse of his predecessor, Pope Formosus, to be dug up, dressed in papal robes, and put on trial. The decomposed body was propped in a chair, a deacon appointed to speak on its behalf, and the proceedings carried out as though the dead man could answer for his crimes. The body was found guilty, stripped of its vestments, and thrown into the Tiber River. The Roman public was horrified. A revolt broke out shortly after. Stephen was seized, stripped of his papal robes, thrown into prison, and strangled to death by his captors. His reign lasted less than a year.
Pope John XII. He died at the age of 27, and the circumstances were scandalous, even by the standards of 10th century Rome. John XII became pope as a teenager through family connections and treated the position as a personal playground. He was accused of ordaining a 10-year-old bishop, blinding his confessor, castrating a cardinal who later died from the procedure, and openly invoking pagan gods while gambling. According to the most widely repeated account, he was found unconscious after being discovered with a married woman, either struck by the woman's husband or felled by a stroke mid-encounter. He died 8 days later without regaining consciousness. He was 27 years old.
Pope Benedict IX. He is the only man in history to have served as pope 3 separate times, and the only one to have sold the papacy for cash. Benedict first became pope around 1032, possibly as young as 12 years old, installed by his powerful Roman family through bribery. He was twice driven out of Rome by mobs furious at his behavior, which contemporaries described as violent, debauched, and completely unworthy of any religious office. Between his second and third stints, he sold the papal throne to his godfather for a substantial sum of money, then changed his mind and reclaimed it. He was eventually deposed for the final time and disappeared from public life. He died in obscurity, sometime around 1055 or 1056, reportedly after a period of genuine repentance, though historians are uncertain of the exact year or cause. Pope Celestine V. He resigned the papacy after just 5 months, and it destroyed the rest of his life. Celestine was an elderly hermit monk in his 80s who had spent decades living in solitary prayer when he was unexpectedly elected pope in 1294. He had no interest in politics, no skill for administration, and was quickly manipulated by powerful figures around him. Recognizing his own failure, he resigned, a decision so unusual it required him to first establish that resignation was even legally possible. His successor, Boniface VIII, immediately had him imprisoned, fearing that a living former pope could become a rallying point for enemies. Celestine attempted to escape multiple times before being recaptured. He died in captivity in 1296. Some accounts claim a nail was later found embedded in his skull, though whether that reflects murder or something else entirely has never been established. Pope Boniface VIII. He died from what contemporaries could only describe as a complete collapse of his mind and body, brought on entirely by humiliation. In 1303, agents sent by King Philip IV of France stormed the papal palace at Anagni, seized Boniface, and subjected him to 3 days of threats, verbal abuse, and according to some accounts, a physical slap across the face, an act of almost unthinkable violation against the head of the church. Local townspeople eventually drove the attackers out and freed him, but Boniface never recovered. He was brought back to Rome in a state of profound psychological devastation, reportedly unable to stop eating compulsively, raging uncontrollably, and in some accounts gnawing on his own hands in distress. He died within a month. The event became known as the Slap of Anagni and marked the beginning of the end of papal supremacy over European monarchs.
Pope Alexander VI. He died under circumstances that have fueled conspiracy theories for over 500 years. Rodrigo Borgia, who became Alexander VI, was one of the most brazenly corrupt popes in history. He openly acknowledged his illegitimate children, used the church's resources to advance his family's political power, and was widely suspected of ordering assassinations. In August 1503, Both he and his son, Cesare, fell violently ill after dining at the villa of Cardinal Adriano Castellesi. Alexander died within days. His body reportedly bloated and darkened at an alarming speed, which contemporary observers took as evidence of poison. The most enduring theory is that he accidentally consumed wine laced with poison he had intended for the cardinal. Others point to the malaria that was sweeping Rome at the time. Given the man, his enemies, and his methods, almost nobody in Rome believed it was a natural death.
Pope Leo VIII. His death was as undignified as his papacy. Leo was installed under deeply questionable circumstances in 963. He was a layman who received every level of religious ordination in a single day, simply to make him eligible for the position, which struck most of the church as an outrageous irregularity. His tenure was turbulent, his legitimacy constantly contested, and his personal conduct the subject of considerable gossip. A medieval account claims he died of a stroke suffered in the middle of an adulterous encounter, a story repeated by enough sources to be taken seriously as historical record rather than pure invention. Whether accurate or embellished, it fit a papacy that had never managed to project much moral authority.
Pope Adrian IV. He is the only English pope in history, and he choked to death on a fly. Nicholas Breakspear, born in Hertfordshire, rose through the ranks of the church to become pope in 1154, proving himself a forceful and capable leader who held his own against Holy Roman Emperor Frederick Barbarossa. In September 1159, he was drinking from a cup when a fly entered his throat. He was unable to clear it. The obstruction caused him to choke, and he died from the blockage. It is one of the most absurd deaths in the entire history of the papacy. A man who stood up to emperors, reorganized the church in Scandinavia, and allegedly granted overlordship of Ireland to the English crown, brought down by an insect in a cup of water.
Pope John Paul I. He was found dead in his bed 33 days after becoming pope, and the Vatican's handling of the aftermath made everything worse. John Paul I had been elected in August 1978 as a warm, humble, and reform-minded figure who many hoped would bring a new tone to the church. On the morning of September 29th, a secretary found him sitting upright in bed, dead, with papers still in his hand. The Vatican released contradictory statements about who discovered the body and when. No autopsy was performed, which was unusual and immediately suspicious to many observers. The body was embalmed within hours. Official cause of death was listed as a heart attack, but the lack of transparency, combined with the fact that he had reportedly been preparing significant changes to Vatican finances and personnel, meant that suspicion never fully went away. Later independent investigations concluded a heart attack was the most probable cause, but the Vatican's behavior in those first hours ensured the mystery would outlast the man.
Pope Benedict XVI. His death was not strange in itself, but the circumstances surrounding it were unlike anything the Church had seen in centuries. In February 2013, Benedict became only the second pope in history to resign voluntarily, citing his diminishing physical and mental strength. The decision sent shockwaves through the Catholic world. He retired to a monastery within Vatican City, took the title Pope Emeritus, and lived out his final years in prayer and near total seclusion, while Pope Francis led the Church from the same grounds. The spectacle of two popes living side by side within the Vatican walls fascinated and unsettled people in equal measure. Benedict died peacefully in December 2022 at the age of 95. His last recorded words, according to those present, were a quiet expression of gratitude. After one of the most unusual exits in papal history, his end was entirely calm.
If you found this helpful, a like and subscribe would mean a lot. See you in the next one.